Have you ever felt like a candle burning at both ends, giving light to others while leaving yourself in darkness? You give your time, energy, and kindness, only to find that the people you provide it to disappear when you need them most. Deep down, you start to wonder, am I being used? It's a harsh realization, one that stings more than any insult. You've sacrificed, compromised, and bent over backward, believing it was all for the greater good of the relationship. But what happens when the scales are tipped too far, and you're left with the nagging truth that your worth has been reduced to what you can offer, not who you are? Manipulation isn't always loud or obvious. Often, it's subtle, insidious, and disguised as affection or necessity. And the most painful part? It thrives on your kindness, willingness to give, and hesitation to confront the imbalance. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." How can you ever stand tall and reclaim your power if your thoughts are clouded by guilt, obligation, or the fear of losing someone? But this isn't the end. This is your wake-up call. In this video, we'll uncover 9 clear signs that someone may be using you and explore how Stoic principles can help you regain control, set boundaries, and find the strength to walk away when necessary. Here's your first step. Hit that like button for this video. Why? Because by doing so, you're not just engaging with content, you're taking action. Action that tells YouTube this video matters, spreading it to others who, like you, are searching for clarity and strength. And let's be honest, if you're not ready to take a simple action like this, how ready are you to take back control of your life? Stay with me. Let's confront the painful truths, embrace the hard lessons, and uncover the power you've had all along. This is your chance to stop being used and start living with intention, dignity, and purpose. Number 1. The blame game. When you're always the scapegoat. Imagine this. You're in a relationship where every disagreement, every mishap somehow circles back to you. The forgotten anniversary? You should have reminded me. The burnt dinner? You distracted me. The fight at the party? You embarrassed me first. It's a twisted game of hot potato, where responsibility is a burden they're determined to toss your way, and you're always the one left holding it. This isn't just a petty quirk. It's a calculated tactic. People who refuse to accept responsibility for their actions often use blame as a weapon, shifting focus away from their shortcomings. By painting you as the problem, they escape accountability while simultaneously undermining your confidence. Over time, the constant barrage of blame chips away at your sense of self, leaving you questioning, am I the problem? Let's take a real-life example. Mike, a successful but introverted man, was in a relationship with someone who seemed perfect on the surface, charming, attentive, and supportive. But as the months went by, cracks began to show. Every time they argued, she had a way of twisting the narrative. If Mike brought up her lateness, she'd snap back. If you weren't so controlling, maybe I wouldn't feel so pressured. If he mentioned feeling unappreciated, she'd counter. You're always so needy. I can't do anything right, can I? The worst part? Mike started believing her. He began tiptoeing around conversations, avoiding conflict at all costs. He stopped expressing his needs, convinced they were unreasonable. He became a shell of the confident man he once was, all because he let himself be caught in the blame game. This is where the Stoics come in, with Epictetus offering a life raft of wisdom. It is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. The problem isn't that blame exists, it's how you allow it to shape your self-perception. So how do you fight back? First, recognize the pattern. When someone consistently shifts blame, it's not about you, it's about their refusal to face their flaws. Second, establish boundaries. The next time they point fingers, calmly but firmly state, I'm willing to discuss solutions, but I won't take responsibility for something that isn't mine. Third, focus on what you can control. Your reactions, your boundaries, your decisions, and let go of their attempts to control the narrative. Mike eventually found his way out of that toxic cycle. He stopped internalizing her accusations and started holding her accountable for her actions. The relationship didn't last, but his self-respect did, and that was the real victory. The blame game is seductive because it feeds on your desire to fix things, to make peace, and to be the hero. But here's the truth. You can't win a game rigged against you. The only way to win is to stop playing, stand firm, claim your power, and remember that respect starts with how you allow yourself to be treated. Number 2, freedom, not on their watch. You've heard of partnerships that feel like a ball and chain, but what happens when the chain gets tighter every time you try to step outside the relationship's boundaries? You want to grab a beer with your buddies, but they suddenly remind you of all the quality time you're neglecting. You consider taking that dream job in another city, but they drop phrases like, "You'd leave me behind?" And heaven forbid you mention a solo hobby, because now, apparently, wanting time for yourself means you're not committed. Here's the thing. Relationships should complement your life, not commandeer it. Yet some people excel at making your freedom feel like a betrayal. Before you know it, you're attending only their social events, pursuing only their goals, and shelving your dreams because they've become inconvenient. Imagine Steve, a charismatic guy with a love for hiking, photography, and the occasional fantasy football league. Enter his partner, who, over time, turns every outing into a "why didn't you invite me" guilt trip. Hiking? Dangerous without me. Photography? You never take enough pictures of us. Fantasy football? That's just a waste of time. Fast forward a year, and Steve's calendar is filled with brunches he didn't plan, errands he didn't agree to, and zero room for the things that once made him happy. Marcus Aurelius nailed it. True freedom lies in living as your nature dictates, not as others demand. A relationship should never require you to sacrifice your core self for the sake of peace. The solution? Reclaim your freedom with humor and resolve. Next time they question your plans, try, "You're welcome to join, but I'll still be going regardless." If the controlling behavior persists, it's time to evaluate if this partnership is a healthy give and take or a slow march to identity theft. In the end, Steve picked up his camera and took a long solo hike, both literally and metaphorically. Freedom never looked so good. Remember, it's your life, your script. Don't let anyone rewrite it. Number 3, financial exploitation. When your generosity becomes a trap. Generosity in love is beautiful. It's a way to show care, to support, and to share. But there's a stark difference between giving freely out of love and being taken for granted. When your financial support is met with entitlement rather than gratitude, or worse, when it's used as leverage to manipulate and control, you're no longer in a partnership. You're being exploited. Imagine a man named David, who fell deeply in love with someone he thought was his soulmate. At first, everything seemed perfect. He didn't mind paying for dinners, covering rent when she was between jobs, or even helping her family with small expenses. To him, it was an expression of love. But as time went on, the dynamics began to shift. Every time he hesitated to pay, he was met with guilt trips. "I thought you cared about me. Do I mean that little to you?" When David brought up the idea of her contributing in non-financial ways, perhaps cooking meals, helping manage their shared home, or simply showing more appreciation, her response stung. "I didn't ask for all this. You offered." What was once a loving gesture now felt like an obligation. The issue isn't the act of financial support itself. It's the absence of reciprocity, respect, and mutual effort. In healthy relationships, generosity, whether financial or emotional, is met with gratitude and an eagerness to give back in whatever way possible. But in exploitative dynamics, your giving becomes expected, and the relationship begins to feel transactional. Seneca's wisdom resonates here. True wealth is not in what we possess, but in how we use it. If your resources are being drained without purpose or gratitude, it's time to reevaluate. To regain balance, start by setting clear boundaries. Generosity must come from a place of love, not coercion. Communicate your feelings openly. "I'm happy to support us, but I need to feel like this is a partnership where both of us contribute in our ways." Observe their reaction. A partner who values you will work with you to find balance. David eventually had a heart-to-heart conversation. His partner admitted she saw his financial support as her entitlement, not his choice. It was painful, but David chose to walk away. In doing so, he rediscovered his worth, not as a provider, but as a person who deserved mutual respect and love. Generosity is a virtue, but when it's exploited, it becomes a weakness. Remember, love is not measured by how much you spend, but by how much both partners are willing to invest, emotionally, spiritually, and practically. Reclaim your power by demanding both gratitude and equality. Number 4, stuck in the cycle, when they never change, no matter how hard you try. Relationships thrive on growth, both individually and as a couple. But what happens when you're the only one trying? When every effort you make to address issues or nurture change is met with excuses, resistance, or outright indifference? You find yourself trapped, sacrificing time and energy for someone who isn't willing to take even the smallest step forward. Imagine Rachel, a dedicated and compassionate woman who fell in love with someone she believed had potential. Her partner had a habit of ignoring responsibilities, late on bills, skipping commitments, and dismissing any talk of self-improvement. Every time Rachel brought up these concerns, he'd brush her off with lines like, "I'll do better when things settle down," or "This is just who I am, take it or leave it." At first, Rachel was patient. She thought her love and encouragement could inspire him to grow. She took on extra responsibilities, hoping to lead by example. She read self-help books, suggesting gentle strategies they could try together. But months turned into years, and nothing changed. The more Rachel tried, the more resentful and exhausted she became. She wasn't just carrying the weight of the relationship, she was also burdened by the futility of her efforts. This is where Epictetus offers clarity. You cannot control others, only your reaction to them. The harsh truth is that change comes from within. No amount of love, sacrifice, or persistence can make someone evolve if they don't choose to do so themselves. So what's the solution? Start by recognizing your limits. Ask yourself, am I trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed? Next, shift your focus inward. Instead of pouring energy into changing them, invest it in understanding why you feel compelled to stay in a stagnant dynamic. What are you afraid of losing, and is it worth the cost to your well-being? Rachel eventually realized that her partner's refusal to grow was not her failure. It was his choice. She made the difficult decision to leave, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. And in doing so, she opened the door to new opportunities and relationships that aligned with her values. Remember, love should never feel like a project. A healthy partnership is a collaboration, not a solo mission to fix or save someone. If you find yourself stuck in the cycle of waiting for someone to change, it may be time to embrace a Stoic truth. Let go of what you cannot control and focus on what you can, yourself. Number 5, the self-worth sabotage. When they make you feel you're not enough. It starts subtly. A comment here, a suggestion there. Are you wearing that? Or you could have handled that better, don't you think? At first, you brush it off, thinking they mean well. But as time goes on, these comments accumulate, and their words start to chip away at your confidence. Before you know it, you're questioning your every decision, your appearance, your capabilities. You're left asking yourself, am I not good enough? This tactic is one of the most insidious forms of manipulation. By sowing seeds of doubt, they keep you tethered, seeking validation and approval. The more insecure you feel, the more control they have, as you look to them for reassurance they rarely, if ever, provide. Consider Daniel, a hardworking professional who was once confident in his career and personal life. His partner frequently made offhand remarks like, "You're lucky I put up with you," or "You'll never find someone else who's as patient as I am." Daniel, desperate to preserve the relationship, started working harder to meet her impossible standards. He tried to change his behavior, his appearance, and even his hobbies, all to win her approval. But no matter how much he did, it was never enough. Every effort was met with another criticism, another standard he failed to meet. Daniel began to feel like a failure, not realizing that the problem wasn't him. It was the toxic dynamic. Marcus Aurelius offers a vital reminder here. The value of a man is not determined by the opinions of others, but by his actions. Your worth is not something anyone else can grant or take away. It's rooted in how you live and the principles you uphold. To combat this, start by recognizing the pattern. When someone's words make you feel inadequate, pause and ask yourself, is this criticism constructive, or is it designed to control me? Remind yourself of your strengths and achievements. Write them down if you must, and refuse to let their negativity define your reality. Daniel eventually realized that no amount of effort could satisfy someone committed to tearing him down. He ended the relationship, found support among friends who reminded him of his value, and rediscovered his self-worth. In the end, remember, No one has the right to make you feel less than who you are. True partners uplift each other, celebrating strengths and offering encouragement through weaknesses. If someone consistently undermines your confidence, it's time to assert your worth, and if necessary, walk away. You deserve to be surrounded by those who see you for all that you are and all that you can become. Number 6. The threat of loss. When they use fear to keep you trapped. If you don't do this, maybe we shouldn't be together. I guess I'll find someone who appreciates me more. Sound familiar? These aren't just idle words. They're calculated moves designed to make you feel small, fearful, and desperate to hold on to a relationship that may not be worth saving. This tactic is as cruel as it is effective. The threat of loss taps into our deepest vulnerabilities. The fear of being alone, of rejection, of losing something or someone that once brought us joy. But what it does is keep you in a state of emotional paralysis, willing to sacrifice your needs and values to avoid the pain of separation. Take Chris, for instance. His partner would often say things like, "If you cared about me, you'd do this." Or worse, "Maybe we're just not right for each other if you can't meet my needs." Each time, Chris caved. He skipped outings with friends, abandoned hobbies he loved, and bent over backward to avoid yet another threat of breakup. Over time, he stopped recognizing himself. He wasn't living his life, he was living a version of himself crafted by fear and manipulation. This is where Seneca's wisdom comes in. The wise man does not fear loss, for he is complete within himself. The key to breaking free from this cycle lies in understanding that your worth does not hinge on any one relationship. True strength is found in knowing that you are whole and capable, even in the face of loss. So, how do you reclaim your power? First, recognize the manipulation for what it is, an attempt to control you through fear. Next, build your independence, emotionally, financially, and socially. Strengthen your relationships with friends, pursue your passions, and remind yourself of your resilience. Chris eventually confronted his partner. When she issued her usual ultimatum, he calmly replied, "If that's how you feel, I won't stop you." The shock on her face was telling. Her power over him was gone. Chris didn't crumble. He stood tall, knowing that his happiness was not tied to someone who used fear as a weapon. The truth is, love should never feel like a leash. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect and trust, not threats and ultimatums. If someone uses the fear of loss to control you, it's not love, it's manipulation. Stand firm, embrace your independence, and remember that the only person who holds the key to your happiness is you. Number 7. The empty promise epidemic. How to spot it before it drains you. Promises are powerful. They create hope, inspire dreams, and build the foundation for trust. But what happens when promises become nothing more than a tool to string you along, a smokescreen hiding a lack of real effort? Welcome to the toxic world of unfulfilled commitments, where words are abundant, but action is perpetually absent. It starts innocently enough. "I'll change, I promise. We'll go on that trip soon, just give me time." Or the classic, "Things will get better, I just need to sort some things out." The words sound sweet, even convincing. But days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and the promises remain unfulfilled, leaving you waiting for a future that never comes. This isn't just frustrating, it's a manipulation tactic. By dangling the idea of change or improvement, these individuals keep you invested in the relationship, deflecting accountability while avoiding real effort. You're left clinging to the hope that someday, somehow, things will improve. Epictetus cuts through the noise with timeless wisdom. Trust actions, not words. Stoic philosophy reminds us to anchor ourselves in reality, not in illusions or empty assurances. Promises mean nothing if they're not backed by consistent, meaningful action. So, how do you protect yourself from the empty promise epidemic? First, adopt a results-oriented mindset. When someone makes a promise, don't just listen, watch. Are their actions aligned with their words? If not, it's time to call it out. Second, set clear boundaries. Make it known that while you value communication, you value follow-through even more. For instance, "I appreciate your promise, but let's focus on what's being done to make it happen." Finally, don't let hope trap you in an endless cycle of waiting. Recognize when a pattern of broken promises becomes the norm, and permit yourself to walk away. Trust isn't built on potential, it's built on actions that reflect care, commitment, and respect. The headline here is clear. Promises without action are just distractions. Don't let yourself become a victim of wishful thinking. Instead, embrace the Stoic principle of living in the present and holding others and yourself accountable for what truly matters. Action. Number 8. When boundaries are broken, why respect starts with no. Imagine laying down clear lines, setting boundaries that define your comfort zone, only to watch someone step over them time and time again. They dismiss your concerns with a laugh, a shrug, or worse, a guilt trip. Why are you making such a big deal about this? It's not just a breach of your boundaries, it's a blatant disregard for your autonomy. When someone ignores the limits you've set, they're sending a clear message. Your needs are secondary to mine. Whether it's pushing you into commitments you're not comfortable with, invading your personal space, or refusing to respect your time, their actions erode your sense of control. Over time, this creates a toxic dynamic where their desires always take precedence, leaving you drained and resentful. Seneca offers a beacon of clarity in such situations. The wise man values himself not by pleasing others, but by living true to himself. Respect isn't about saying yes to everything. It's about standing firm in your values and refusing to compromise your well-being for the sake of others' convenience. So how do you enforce your boundaries without apology? The first step is clarity. Define what your limits are, whether it's your time, energy, or personal space, and communicate them assertively. Be direct but respectful. I'm not comfortable with this, and I need you to respect my decision. The next step is consistency. When they test your boundaries, and they will, don't waver. Stand your ground. Every time you bend, you reinforce the idea that your boundaries are negotiable. Remember, saying no isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect. Finally, be prepared to reevaluate the relationship if the boundary breaking continues. Relationships, whether personal or professional, should be built on mutual respect. If someone repeatedly ignores your limits, it's a sign they prioritize their needs over your well-being. Boundaries aren't just lines in the sand. They're the framework for healthy, respectful relationships. By protecting your boundaries, you're not just defending your time or energy, you're declaring your worth. And that's a statement no one should ever overlook. Number 9. The convenient connection. When you're just a means to an end. Picture this. Your phone lights up with a message from someone you haven't heard from in weeks or months. At first, you're excited, thinking they finally remembered you. But as the conversation unfolds, it becomes clear. They don't want to catch up. They want something. Your help, your resources, or your attention. This isn't friendship or love. It's convenient. People who only reach out when they need something reduce you to a tool, not a person. Their fleeting presence sends a disheartening message. Your value is tied solely to what you can provide, not who you are. Marcus Aurelius, with his timeless wisdom, cautions us to focus on what we can control. Distinguish between what you can change and what you cannot. While you can't force others to value you authentically, you can decide where to invest your time and energy. How do you handle such one-sided relationships? Start by recognizing the pattern. Do they disappear the moment you ask for support? Do their requests feel transactional rather than heartfelt? Once you see the imbalance, it's time to take action. Set boundaries and manage expectations. When they come calling with yet another request, consider replying with, "I'm unable to help right now, but I hope you're doing well." This sends a clear signal that your availability isn't guaranteed. Next, evaluate the relationship. Relationships should be reciprocal and built on mutual care and respect. If their presence in your life feels like a drain rather than a source of joy, it might be time to step back. Finally, shift your focus to those who truly value you. Invest in people who are there not just during your highs, but also in your lows. These are the connections worth nurturing, the ones that fill your cup rather than deplete it. Being remembered only when it's convenient isn't a reflection of your worth, but a sign of their priorities. By stepping away from these relationships, you're making room for genuine connections. After all, you deserve to be surrounded by people who see you for who you are, not just for what you can give. Closing, reclaiming your power and value. Respect, love, and reciprocity. These aren't things you should have to beg for or chase. They are the foundation of any healthy, meaningful relationship. But when you find yourself caught in cycles of manipulation, one-sided dynamics, or conditional affection, it's time to pause and reflect. Are you being seen for who you truly are, or only for what you can offer? The Stoics remind us of a powerful truth. Your worth is not determined by the actions of others, but by how steadfastly you live according to your principles. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control how much access they have to your life and energy. Take this moment as a call to action, not to change others, but to change how you allow others to treat you. Recognize the signs of unhealthy relationships, set firm boundaries, and don't be afraid to walk away from situations that drain you more than they fulfill you. Your time, your love, and your presence are invaluable gifts. Protect them fiercely, and give them only to those who respect and cherish them. And now, here's a simple but powerful step to take. Hit that like button for this video. Why? Because every small action matters. When you engage with content like this, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping others who are searching for clarity, strength, and self-worth. Together, we create a ripple effect of empowerment. Let's make this journey one of growth, resilience, and unwavering self-respect. Thank you for being here, for choosing to invest in your well-being, and for stepping into the life you deserve. You've got this.